Hey, Michael.
Good morning, Danny.
Good morning, Michael.
Did you all find anyone to write that grant?
No, actually, haven't even looked real hard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, been busy with other stuff,
Right.
but we're still looking around for the possibility of that. We couldn't meet that quick deadline they had. They had a quick deadline, like end of June, and it was like a week. We
Right.
couldn't put everything. So we're working on all the other stuff to see if we can't put together something here in the next 6 weeks or so.
Right. If you can use my help in writing grants, I'm
Absolutely.
available. Right.
Absolutely.
All
Yeah.
right.
Would you, if you, do you charge?
Not for this, of course not.
Okay. Um, all right. Yeah. Let me follow up on that and see where we're at on that. Everybody's kind of been on vacation over the fourth and all that week before,
Sure.
week after.
Sure.
So trying to get everybody back in the same page, but I'm glad
Mm-hmm.
you reminded me of that.
Yeah, sure. All right.
So we good for today?
Well, I hope so.
Good.
Uh,
What's going on today? I'm in.
Cynthia Johnson and Dina will be talking about
Good.
what's going on now,
Okay.
particularly
Cool.
with yesterday's announcement that the county is going to put up some more money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Which is good. Yes, this COVID-19 just keeps getting more interesting, doesn't it?
Jeez. Yeah. That was driving me crazy, really. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
Well, fortunately, I'm not personally impacted by it other than through the incubator,
Right.
so,
No, I
so I'm
understand.
one of the lucky ones, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people affected. Well, my daughter that lives in Nashville is has been diagnosed with COVID.
Yeah, boy. Mm.
Yeah. So it's hit into my family now.
Right. Well, how old is she?
She's 26.
Well, then, so she's young, so she should get through it then.
She should. She
Yeah.
should. She's lost all of her smell and taste.
Oh, boy.
And fluctuating fevers. And
Mm-hmm.
the only thing that worries me is the underlying. A lot of people that are asymptomatic, when they check their lungs later, they find lung damage.
Right. Yes.
So that worries me a dab. You know.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
By the way, did I ever tell you the story? And I won't get into it now, but sometime we can talk about it. And I may have already told you, but I got to spend one whole day with Alex Haley.
Really? Oh,
I did.
cool.
I
Cool.
did at his house
Uh-huh.
in Norris, Tennessee, and I got to spend the whole day with him, and it was a lot of fun. He
Right.
was
What was the occasion?
well, my wife at the time, her brother is an artist, and he was an artist, had a gallery in Berea, Kentucky. Alex was on the board of directors, or the board for the Berea College there in
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky. And he discovered my brother-in-law's artwork and bought 200 pieces of his artwork and actually became friends with him.
Ah,
We were on vacation and we stopped at this Pioneer Village in North Tennessee. And this guy walks in to where we were at to pick up he'd been out of town to pick up his mail. They've been getting his mail for him. And I told my wife, I said, "That's Alex Haley." And she said, "No, no, no, no." Well, anyway, I coaxed her into finally walking up to him. And she said, "Are you Alex Haley?" He said, "Yes, I am." And she told him she was Mitchell's sister. And he said, "Well, you come here." And he took us to his house. And we spent the day with him in North Tennessee. It was we were walking down. He was showing around the house. We come down on the landing of the stairway. And we came down on the landing.
Danny, you still there? Danny, I've lost you. Hmm. Are you back? Dino.
You hear me okay?
I'm hearing you okay.
Got wind chimes going in the background?
That's the phone. Somebody wants me,
Uh-oh.
probably to sell me something.
Yeah.
Yes, and me. So I don't bother to answer the phone. Right. If they want to leave a message and it's somebody I know, I'll call them back.
Right.
Otherwise, the hell with it.
Jen and I have an appointment like at 11:15, so she's going to probably be on the road, just on the phone with us. So
Who's that again?
Jennifer.
Jennifer. Okay. So,
Yeah, she knows this stuff better than I do. So
well,
I mean, I know most of the main questions. It's just when somebody comes up with some funky,
right.
you know,
Detail.
yeah, can we say that we made $100,000, $150,000 a year? It's like, yeah, you can say it.
Say
You can go to jail for it, right?
You got it. And there's Betty. Right. What holds me up from getting any money is the phrase in there that says that you have to document that you've been hurt by the pandemic, and I really haven't. So.
Wow. You know, I mean, how do you can't quantify that until after the fact. So, I mean, it's not a big deal. I mean,
so
if it's changed anything that you've done before, you were impacted by it. I mean, literally. If the way you go out and you get business is by networking and you can't go network, you were impacted. I mean,
really? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I mean, it isn't.
That.
I mean, now that
Good
doesn't
morning,
mean.
Betty.
Morning, Michael. Good morning, Gino.
Good morning, Betty.
How is everybody?
Doing
I'm
okay?
good. Yeah, I'm doing good. Yeah, a lot of things going on right now.
I was going to say, people in real estate are either they're really good or they're really bad. There's like no middle of the road, it seems like, as I'm talking to folks.
I changed a little bit. I moved my business, real estate business, to eXp Realty.
Yep.
Because it's all online.
All online, so yeah.
That's the new thing. And then I do also, I'm a certified now investor agent.
Oh,
So
okay.
I
Yeah,
work
no, yep.
also.
Yeah,
So I
that's
have
right. I got your book because you sent the book out or
yeah, did you
whatever. So
see
I
it?
saw that.
It's
Yeah, I saw the
yeah.
announcement in it. Yeah.
So the book is this booklet this month is was about Airbnb. People who want to invest money and buy rental
The
to
rentals
not
for
just
Airbnb.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Airbnb. And so that's why I do right now. And because residential people are kind of scared of selling or buying.
Right,
Even the market is good, so
right.
there's no problem. I have buyers right now looking for homes. The inventory is low,
Oh,
so
are you
that's
kidding
why,
me?
yeah. So it's kind of difficult right now. But for investors, that's the time right now.
Right.
Yeah. So
Sorry about that. I clicked something and everything shut off. I was like, holy crap. What's going on? My on-off button is right in the worst place that it possibly can on this computer. I don't know what they were thinking when they put that button there.
yeah. So everything is new, is different.
Right,
Yeah. So I have to change because my business was coming from networking.
right,
Now I do more online business.
right.
So more Facebook marketing and ads and to get more people. Yeah.
Actually, Betty, for what you just said, Michael, to go back to what we were talking about
Right.
before Betty
Yeah.
jumped on, there's a perfect example of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. We did the same thing. We pivoted. So we had to change our business. Now
True.
we
Yeah.
don't know, you
Yeah.
don't know when you make that change if it's going to have the positive effect that it did. And you're going to incur capital costs as a result of that. You got to market different. You may have to retool things, all that other kind of stuff.
Exactly.
That
Yeah.
EIDL loan, that's exactly what that is meant to do.
Mhm.
Help
Mhm.
you with whatever it is that you do. I think, I mean, you understand this because you're a psychologist, right? There's two ways of looking at things, right? Negative, positive, right?
Well, there's probably a dozen ways to look at
well,
that.
and so most people have a tendency to think of, well, I can't do everything that I do. I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. So it's like, well, okay, you're going to take a loan, but you're going to go deeper in debt. You still have to figure out a way to keep money coming in the door, and you got to do it differently. So you have to change your thing. So you're still changing and impacted by the business. The fact that on the other side of this, you come out positively. I mean, yeah, if they wanted to, they could come back and they could say, wow, but they're not going to care if you paid the loan back, right? I mean, if you default on a loan, they may come after you,
Yeah.
but.
Yeah. With the COVID-19, you have to think more of your strategy and how you can get more customers.
Right.
And how to serve better the one you have, because I find it easier to call like your database people, because they're more available than before. So
I'll tell you what, this is an excellent discussion. So I'm going to start the Spark Tank, and we can get back to that conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi,
good
Paul.
morning, Paul.
Hi, Paul.
How are you? Good.
Yeah.
Well,
morning, everyone.
Right. So welcome everybody.
Hi, Danny. I can see him.
Yes. So welcome everybody. We're going to get started, and today's Spark Tank is going to be updates on what's happening with some small businesses in COVID-19, and updates on the funds that are available and so on. So Dino is going to start us out, and then Dr. Cynthia Johnson, who's head of the county SBDC, will join us around 9:30.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Yeah. So Dino, I've got a question to get us started.
To mention, I'm going to have to leave a little early. Okay.
Okay. That's fine. Okay. So my question is, how does one document that one's business has been impacted by the pandemic?
Well, so the main thing is that in a disaster, there, because, and well, there's two pieces to this. First of all, we're all impacted by it, period, one way or the other, positive, negative, we're impacted by it. So if you're gonna say, well, how was I negatively impacted from it, you know, in terms of typically the way that they evaluate to determine whether or not, you know, you had an
Business.
impact
Right,
from,
right,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, well, an example of that was back when we had the oil spill, okay, when they had the oil spill and all of the coastal businesses were affected and that sort of thing. The money that they made available from the class action suit that came out from that, you literally had to submit your financials from the year prior to that and the year that that went on, okay, for 12. But that didn't happen. That didn't happen until 2 years after the disaster, okay?
Right.
So if you have to document it, what they're going to ask you for is to submit your financials, okay? I mean, now, if you got better, you know, because for a good example is Jennifer and I probably would have to say we got better on the backside of this because everybody needed help and that sort of thing. But we didn't know that going in. And if we'd have just sat on our laurels and locked ourselves in our, you know, in our houses the way we were supposed to and done nothing about it, then yeah, it would have had a negative impact and a negative effect on us. So documenting it is going to come in some way, shape, or form of show us your financials, and they're gonna give you a period of time of when that happened, so that they can look at it to see what it was. The other thing that you would do.
Well, let's take a case like mine. I'm a consultant.
Yep.
How can I document that I got less business, because there's no way to really know that?
Well, there is. I mean, part of what it is that you had was you're going to have to go back and they're going to say, well, show us how many transactions that you had, how many clients that you had prior to this, and how many that you had, you know, through the pandemic, you know, or on the other side of that. And, you know, and they're going to compare that to see, did you get worse? Did you get better? Now, the other piece of that, to keep yourself out of trouble, okay, because if you do nothing and you say, if the only thing they're looking at is that and no other and nothing else, then they can say, well, financially, it didn't have an impact on you. But at the same time, if you said, well, yes, I had more business, but I had to change my business model. I had to go online. I had these expenses as it related to that. The fact that you change your business model in order to adapt to what was occurring is a different animal. The other thing is, I believe, and I don't know this for a fact, okay, because the SBA hasn't said that. The SBA has used all of the normal things that they would use in a disaster, okay? Typically, what the EIDL loans are typically going to be used for, and when those things are going to come out and be present, is going to be during a hurricane, a tornado hit, something that was a split-second event. It was over with, and everything was devastated, and you can't continue. There's never been anything like what we're experiencing now, where businesses can still operate. They've just said, you got to shut down. You got to operate within these parameters.
Right.
Okay. Which says that impacts you in some way, shape, or form. The fact that you can't go out and that you can has impacted you. The documentation that you need, other than the financial, would be, what was the plan that you had? So, and again, it doesn't have to be a 40-page plan. What were the things that you decided that you were going to do? The kind of stuff that you would normally document as a part of your, what's supposed to happen that most people don't do, your annual meeting, right? As a corporation, right? So that you document your minutes and say, this is how we're changing going forward. You just have to document, these are the things that we're doing and why are you doing this? So it may be a one-page summary that says, you know, this is how I believe that things were impacted, and this is how I'm changing the way I'm doing business going forward. And then if there's a budget that goes along with that, obviously, these are the costs that we think that we're going to have associated with that. I think that's fully documented to the level that's going to be necessary. Now, the way that that unfolds is going to be what they may ask for as well. But I still think, you know, you can still, I think, say that you were impacted in some way, shape, or form just through documenting in that manner.
Well, okay.
So, yeah, I think people have a tendency to go in one or two directions. And that's where Jennifer and I have really kind of, I think, helped most of the folks out, you know, where
Can
we've
you
been
say
able
what
to help.
those two?
Yeah,
directions are?
no, that's where I was going. So the first thing is that people want to say, oh, well, there's free money. And so they're going to push the envelope, you know, well, I made 120. No, that isn't the way that it works. And we know people that have gone and got money like that. They're going to run into problems when they go looking for PPP forgiveness. Okay. And there's no documentation to back up the fact that, you know, it was like, well, what were you paying yourself before? And what are you paying yourself now? Okay. Or how many employees did you have? How many employees? Nope, that's not what the money was for. This is not forgivable. It's a loan and you got to pay it back. That's so for people that push the limit, that's what's going to be. The other people that try to interpret, like you did, Michael, what
Right.
you thought they meant, okay,
Right.
and didn't go and do it and then suffered as a result because there was money available to them to help them what it was that they needed to do and they didn't go get it. You'd be surprised at how many people that we saw that the city sent over to us or that the chamber sent over to us that said, you at least go talk to these people. We talked to them, and the reason they hadn't done anything was because somebody told them, well, they didn't qualify. And within 30 seconds of talking to them, say, yeah, you qualify for this and this. You don't qualify for the other item, you know, because of these stipulations. You know, you don't have these things, or you know, whatever it may have been. But you know, for the most part, people just didn't understand. You know, they took just like I always say all the other time, right? I mean, people get into trouble because they take advice and guidance from somebody that doesn't even know themselves. You know, they think their business is successful, but it was by luck of the circumstances that they had whatever success that they had, and they couldn't replicate that success, you know, if their business depended on it. And oftentimes it does, and you know, they end up going down the tubes as a result. So
Betty, were you going to say something?
No,
No.
I was listening.
so that's what I got.
Mhm.
Of the new stuff, the things that I do know that people got to watch out for was a lot of people are saying for on the PPP side of things, they on June 16th, they signed into law and they passed the new legislation that extended the deadline for when PPP, when you could put in your application. You know, instead of 8 weeks, you could take 24 weeks in order to pay it back. I'm not sure of all the stipulations with that. There are some things that change if you take the 24 months. So for those people like me, I went ahead, I used it for the next 2 months of paying my payroll to myself. You know, I watched how I spent the money and I spent it the way that they said I needed to spend it. And so, you know, I'm almost to my, actually, I may be to my 56 days today or tomorrow, I think.
Are PPP
A
loans
PPP
still?
loan so that I can put my application in with Regions Bank and say, here's what it is, here's how I spent it. You know,
Right.
they'll review it and then submit it to the SBA. And then when they get, you know, approval from the SBA, then they'll say, yep, the loan is forgiven and you can clear it off the books.
Right.
And
Are those loans still available?
those loans are still available. They extended it past, I think, through August the 8th. Because there are still funds, there's still like $150 billion that was,
Wow.
or 150 million. I don't remember what it was. That was still, I think it was a billion, I think. Yeah.
Right.
That was still
it was
available.
$1 billion something. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's still billions of dollars of PPP funds that are available for people that haven't, gone in and submitted. I mean, we're working with clients to try and figure out that haven't already put in, of a way that they can get qualified for it. The other thing that seems to have been streamlined on the EIDL loans, the SBA has really got that automated, and that process it's moving pretty quick. In fact, I decided, at the end of the month, it's like, I'll put in for it, if for no other reason, to get the $1,000 grant that they're going to give me, and I put it in. I was worried because I never got an email, and when I went to go click to print the page that had the confirmation number that my application had been submitted, the window shut down or whatever, and I couldn't get back to the window. So I didn't know. And that was like on a Tuesday that week. And I was worried about it. I kept asking Jen, and she's like, well, she said, you should get an email. And I kept checking the email. And then Friday evening late, I got an email from Experian that someone had checked credit on me or whatever. So I went out and I looked at my credit report, and it said the SBA had looked at it. And I'm like, okay. And by Monday, I had the $1,000 was in the bank, and they said you'd been approved for, X amount of dollars, choose, and you can choose how much of that you want to take or how little of that you want to take. And you have to complete their documentation. And if they want to give you anything, then.
Right, and the $1,000 is a grant?
The $1,000 was a grant. They just put it in my account, and that's it.
Yeah.
It was mine.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and then, the rest of it, the thing you want to be careful with the EIDL loans, everybody wants lots of money. There's a stipulation in there that it's a normal 7A loan, which is an SBA loan type that, banks give those out every day. That 7A, that loan, if it's above $25,000, has to be secured by assets. Okay. So if you take that, if they give you that loan and they give you more than $25,000 and you go over, then it's going to secure certain assets that you have. And they may not just be business assets. They may actually want to latch on and put a lien on your house, and other assets that you've got as well that are personal. So just be aware of that, because a lot of people are like, well, I can get this much money, I'm going to take it, or whatever. And they don't understand the impact that's coming along with it. If it's less than $25,000, it's an unsecured loan. And so there's you don't, you're still kind of a guarantor on it, obviously, because you're signing a loan, but there's not any attachment to any of the, collateral in order to secure that loan or anything like that, if it's below 25,000.
Super.
So that's what I know of the stuff that's been going on, and I don't even know if there's a closeout on the EIDL loan. I don't believe there is. They'll continue to take those as long as there's money and funding.
So the $1,000 grant is from the EIDL?
Is from the EIDL loan, right? And that's $1,000 per employee. So if you have more than one employee, you may get more than $1,000. But if you claim more than one employee, then they're going to ask you, for documentation, which, is just for people that may watch the video later or whatever, so that they understand what they're getting into. They may ask for a payroll register if you claim that you've got 3 or 5 employees or something like that, and they want to see 3 or 5 employees on your last payroll register or something like that.
So what kind of documentation do they need just for the $1,000?
Not much. I mean, you just have to fill the application in, and there's certain things that you're swearing to and that sort of thing. And
Cool.
They'll ask you for how much money, what was your gross sales, for the previous 12 months or whatever, and you provide them with that. That's what you were asking at the beginning when we first jumped on the call, Michael, about What do I need to prove? They're going to ask for that 12 months because that becomes your baseline.
Right.
So in other words, we want to look at what did you do the 12 months prior to this impact, more or less. And then, later on, if they decide they're going to come back and they want to audit or something or another like that, then that's what they need they'll say, okay, let's look from that point when the pandemic start going forward. And they're just going to have to tell you how long do they want to look out,
Right. So if you can't document all that stuff sufficiently, they'll ask for the $1,000 back?
No, because what they're basically going to, that $1,000 comes when they approve your application.
Okay.
Okay. Approval of your application is the first step in the process.
Right.
The second step in the process then is to go out and, as soon as your application has been approved, the $1,000 will be deposited in your bank account, as long as you've supplied them with a bank account where you want that funds and you verify that. Then the next piece is, this is how much you've been approved for. Tell us how much of that you want, this is the maximum amount, so tell us how much of that you want to take. And there's like a slider on there so you can slide it to the exact amount that you want or whatever, and click yes. And then, they'll basically process the paperwork and you'll get all of your loan documentation to review more or less and sign at that point, and it's all done online. Everything's done online.
Cool.
So.
Good morning, Renee, and good morning, John. John, we cannot hear you. Does anyone have questions for Dino?
Dino, I am of the belief that I've gotten the couple of things that I'm entitled to. And I don't want to pursue loans. But as far as let me ask you, there's unemployment, there's that $1,000, and then there was $1,000 the government gave out for some other reason too. I can't remember what that was at the very beginning. But those three
the money that they gave out, the stimulus checks.
Stimulus.
Yeah.
The stimulus.
That came from the IRS. Yeah. Well,
other than that, is there anything else that's a grant or that's not a loan?
The only other grants that there were the Pinellas CARES grant that was made available. That expired though, based off of what the original. I think that was the reason that we invited and Cynthia Johnson was going to join us, because we hadn't heard if the county had extended that, how they were changing that, if they were going to open it up to more businesses and that sort of thing, because that grant was very, very specific with who they were targeting, and they did a really good job of putting the requirements to keep people inside of that box. So in other words, you had to have a physical address that you were operating out of, you'd be surprised at how many people came to us to get help with that it was like, you didn't qualify because you're working out of your house. Because they're going to go online when they're processing those applications. They were actually getting on Google and looking to see where's that location. It's not in a business district. It's not, a business location. They're not qualified. You don't get the grant. So, and that was a $5,000 grant that came from the, the other thing was they were targeting specific businesses, primarily the ones that were forced to close because of the executive order. Everybody's opened back up now, but I mean, that 2 months that everybody was shut down, if you were living paycheck to paycheck kind of a thing as your business, the money's coming in and you're paying your bills with that money that's coming in. That was pretty big impact. And I think a lot of what they were trying to do was help those companies and those businesses that were kind of affected in that way. So,
well, yesterday's paper said that the county was going to offer some millions of dollars. So let me go get that paper and I'll tell you what it said.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
We can,
Yes,
John.
John, we can.
I better be careful then about what I say.
That's right.
Absolutely. And the noise in your background too.
Hey, John, I know I still owe you a phone call. I have been up to my ears in paperwork and meetings, so I still have your telephone number and I have it on my desk here. So I still owe you a phone call. Know that I will be calling at you at some point, okay?
Oh, this was for the food truck?
Yes, yep. So I will be calling. I've been underwater literally trying to keep up with stuff. So just wanted to let you know.
I've got a swimming pool in the backyard I can throw you in.
As you say, they got one at their house too. So
Yeah, we do.
She hasn't been able to use it lately, I don't think, right?
Okay, the headline says Pinellas Commission approves $170 million in coronavirus
Okay.
relief.
Okay, that was
It's CARES.
Oh, that's the same thing, right, Dino?
yep. Yeah, but it was so what happened was there was funding in the CARES Act that was earmarked to go to local communities, okay? And those grants could be submitted through those organizations, but just like everything else, there were requirements, okay? And so, for example, the reason that the city of Dunedin piggybacked off of what it was that the county was doing was because the city of Dunedin wasn't big enough. They didn't meet the size requirement of how big your municipality had to be in order to go to the federal government to get that grant money directly for your municipality. And so what the county did was said there were too many communities that were in there. We can go as a community and we'll make it available through the community, more or less. And so that's how that CARES Act grant that was being used by the folks at the in Dunedin that we were helping to get those grants. And there were quite a few people that got that grant.
So this is for individuals, families, and local businesses.
Yeah, they're expanding, and that was more. There wasn't that much money that was made available. I can't remember. I want to say for some reason 35 million.
Well, this is 170.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
that's above and beyond what it was that. But I don't know what the requirements are necessarily for that.
It says
I haven't
local
read those.
businesses will get another chance. Businesses with more than 25 employees and home-based businesses may now be eligible for grants. So home-based businesses are now included.
Does it say what's the date on that was approved?
This
Michael,
was
does it
just yesterday.
Yesterday? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Approved the plan on Tuesday. So yeah.
Okay. And that's what I think was happening, because I remember I sat in on the city commission meeting last week for Dunedin, and they were talking about things that they wanted brought up and that sort of thing at that meeting to make sure. But there wasn't any kind of decision. That's why I know what's available through the federal programs, but the reason that, Cynthia will be able to say, because I'm sure they probably, said this is what it, Cynthia's organization is going to be the one that's going to be tagged with implementing anything that's business related, because Cynthia Johnson is the director of the Small Business Development Center for Pinellas County. So,
And hopefully she'll show up in the next 5 minutes.
yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
Because I don't have nothing else to talk about. Yeah, right.
Dino,
I was waiting.
Not true.
I see Paul laughing too. I'm thankfully his mic's not on. So I didn't hear the comment that went with it.
Yeah, the comment with was Dino. I'm sure you could come up with something. About it,
Right.
I don't think you'd have a problem with that.
Yeah. So the other thing, though, that we did notice, Jennifer had purchased a bike, I think, through the bike shop there in Dunedin, and Saturday went down to pick it up, and she said she was amazed at how much hustle and bustle there was in downtown Dunedin when she went down there. People were out on the street. Says it wasn't, overly crowded or anything like that, but there was plenty of people out, walking around and going in and out of shops and everything else. So that's a good thing. I know last week when I was on the city call, one of the things they were worried about was, this second wave, if they're going to shut everything down again. And there were a lot of business owners, I guess, that some of the city council members had talked to that said, hey, I don't know if I'm going to be able to survive a second shutdown. So, I mean, that's where I was really kind of focused in the beginning of all of this. And as businesses were starting to open back up, it's not going to be business as usual. You need to think a little outside of the box. So that's what I had put that checklist together. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put the link. There you go. I just put in the chat box a link. There's a downloadable checklist that we created that will walk you through the process of what you need to do to really kind of figure out. Because one of the things that I'm finding, and I'm hearing more and more businesses that are talking about this checklist was meant to, when people were reopening, a lot of businesses were saying, we got to reopen. And it's like, you have to really assess, is there going to be enough business for you to at least break even with your business? Because if you can't break even with your business, I know you're shut down and there's no money coming in, but if you open back up and you can't break even, you're actually going to be losing money, which means you're taking money out of your pocket now. And most people were emotional, I think, more so than being, driven by data and decision as to whether they should open their business back up or not. And the problem that they're having now is now they're realizing that, well, I'm losing money every week. And it was like, well, you know what? There was a way to figure that out before you opened the doors and you wouldn't have got into that problem. But most people don't, they're just winging it. So
that's what most people do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anybody else got any questions?
Are we still looking for a location to meet?
Absolutely.
Dina, I don't see a downloadable checklist at that link. I got a video, I got a cover page of your checklist.
Right. And there's a form at the bottom, right? If you fill out the form, you get the link.
Come back over here. Yeah, fill out the form and submit it to get the checklist. Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes, he wants
Actually, it says ebook, but all right.
It is an ebook.
Right. He wants your email address.
Believe me, when you get, he already has my email address. I know.
Right.
Yeah, but I need to know who it is that's signing up for it, right?
Well, of course. So that you can sell them more stuff. Yeah.
Well, at least I know if the people that have downloaded the checklist, was it helpful? Well, no, it wasn't. I need more help. Like,
yes.
Well, guess what? We can help you with that too. So.
Makes sense to me.
Look at it.
John, have you got some ideas about location?
Would you look at the Dunedin Library?
Yes, but definitely. But there's meeting space is not available yet.
Who have you talked to?
I've not talked to anyone. It's just on their website. Says that their
Oh.
meeting space is not available
Okay,
for
because
the
of the
information.
C-19.
Right, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I think that's starting to open up some.
Really? Okay, so I'll drop by there and have a conversation with them. 'Cause
I'll
that
check
space,
that.
right, yeah, that space would let folks sit far enough apart that it could work.
Yeah, in that space, you could probably sit far enough apart, right?
Right,
Depending
yeah,
on how many people you have.
yeah.
Yeah.
Gloria, are you with us? Maybe not.
Yes, I am. Sorry.
Oh, okay, okay.
I don't, my video's not working real well right now, but I was listening to you all.
That's okay.
That's okay.
Just wanted to say good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Right. And hopefully Dr. Cynthia Johnson will join us momentarily.
I had a conversation with James Ponton last week with Eat Pinellas and last Friday, and I said, hey, I said, I haven't really seen you at the Florida Incubators. I miss seeing you there, you know? And he said that he didn't know that the meetings were going on. Still, he didn't realize that they were virtual. So I did give him the link, and he's not here this week because he's up in New York, but he said that he will be back next week and he would plan on joining.
Right. What was that name again?
James Ponton. He was with, it's Eat Pinellas. That's the gentleman
I remember. Yep.
Yeah, that's the gentleman that he was offering like restaurants free, like the restaurants would give a discount and that service was free, and then he would sell the cards, you know, a discount program for restaurants. And so I don't know if there's a way, if you guys have determined a way to kind of get you know, last week we talked about, you know, the number of people. I'm thinking that maybe some of them don't know that we're meeting online.
Well, you know, if they've been to a meeting, then we should have their email address. He should be getting the newsletter. If he came in through the meetups, there are 3 meetups that go out every week. So,
and it's also on the Facebook group.
Right, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Maybe he's just not on the Facebook group, but I did give him the number.
Well, great.
But
Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Yeah, sure. And I think we finally got somebody who's going to do our messaging for us so that we can really start to market in a significant way. Because right now, my fear is that we're one of the best kept secrets around. And
that is for sure. That is for sure.
Right.
I agree. Yeah.
Right. And that is not good for business. So,
No.
so our plan is that there will be a major social media campaign, plus there will be in-person visits to the government agencies, the chambers, the Merchants Association in Safety Harbor, in Clearwater, Dunedin, Tarpon Springs, Palm Harbor. Dino, did I miss any?
I don't think so.
Right. So, and the libraries as well. So we will visit all of those with collateral material, so that the word can begin to be spread, not just about the incubator, but about Dino's programs, about the Spark Tank, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm really pushing hard to get that done.
I'm joining a BNI group. Would it be appropriate to refer this group to that group?
Absolutely.
Sure.
It is? Okay, that wouldn't be taboo or anything. Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure how networking groups work. Like if they, I would think that you'd want to be in as many as possible. So I would think that people talk about other networking groups that they're in. So
Sure.
Okay,
Well,
perfect.
the intent of this organization is to help businesses learn what it is that they need and get the technical assistance that they need in order to, get their business over the hump and scale it. So, we're not gonna preclude anybody that wants to do that from coming. So, I mean, a lot of the networking groups, that's because somebody's making money off of it, and so they want to make sure they get your credit card before you can do anything or
Right.
certain things. So,
Paul,
I mean, a good networking group that I've gone and done a lot and participated in is oh, great, man, it's been so long since I've been.
The MGM,
Yeah, the MGM Friends.
I looked them up.
Yep.
Yep.
They meet, there's only 2 of them, I believe, in Pinellas County. And the one actually meets in Pinellas County and
Actually,
at
do you know?
Furman. Yeah.
There are no, in Pinellas County, there are no in-person MGM meetings right now.
Right.
There is one up in Northdale, and then we're online yesterday morning.
Okay. So they are doing the online
right.
ones.
And what does MGM stand for?
I have no clue.
I do.
It's yeah.
Let me look
You're
it
looking
up.
at it. You're cheating. You're looking it up.
Anybody can Google it.
Members. You sent it to me, Paul. The link, I think.
MGMfriends.com.
Yeah,
What is
let
it?
me see.
So is there a fee to join
No.
that?
No, it's free.
Woodgie
Okay.
Badger started that.
Yes.
You know Woodgie Buddy?
Meet and greet mixers.
There you go. There you go.
Say
Yeah.
that
Look it up
again.
too, you know.
Meet and greet mixers.
Greet
Okay.
mixers. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So why would you join them rather than say BNI?
Because they don't cost anything at all.
It's free.
That's
And
number
there's
one.
dozens of them all over, and you can go to any one that you want to.
And they don't give you hassles about what time you have to show up and that you can't leave and you shouldn't do any business during the meeting.
Right.
And the structure is so incredibly rigid at a BNI meeting.
That's why Woodgie started the group in the first place. When back in the downturn, he was a mortgage processor, I think, or whatever, or had a mortgage processing company or something like that. And when he got hit, he said, all right, I got to go out and I got to hit the streets again and, really start networking. And he's going to these places and they want money. And, it's like, when I used to network, it never was like this. So he started MGM Friends for that reason. They have sponsoring organizations where they have the meetings at. So, like I said, the one in Pinellas, in North Pinellas, they meet at the Furman dealership, BMW dealership up on 19 in Palm Harbor.
Oh, interesting.
The other one that I go to is sponsored by Synovus Bank in West Chase, on Country Way. So, and there's dozens other ones. Jennifer was attending the one in Temple Terrace. So there's MGM Friends events. Just about any morning you can find one. So,
Well, go ahead, Michael.
There's the Dunedin Business Networking Group. Was it DCO or something like that?
okay.
I've heard of that one.
Right? Does anybody know?
No,
talk
never heard of
about
that
it?
one.
If you talk to Gregory at Gregory's Hair Salon on Main Street, he's probably pretty much on top of a lot of those things. He's across from the Boxcar on Main Street,
Right.
or across the trail. Gregory's Hair Salon.
Okay.
Now, another huge networking organization that grew out of a rebellion against BNI is RGA, which stands for Revenue Generating Activities.
Yeah.
And it is huge. I mean, I have no idea what they're up to. Well, of course, they're all online now, right? They have,
Right.
I think they've got a meeting every single day if you are a member. And then there's a mixer once a week. But when they were in person, I think there was like 30 meetings or so every single week.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm still going to be joining a couple more. The MGM, I'm looking at the Millionaire Mindset or the Mind. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm looking at that.
Elisa's.
I have a list of them that I still have to go through. I just haven't been able to. But Spot On's recommends that we definitely join a BNI group, which the group that I visited this morning definitely needs a merchant processor. So that was great.
Yep.
That was very I was happy to hear that.
Yeah, there's an open seat for you. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Right, it's
Yeah.
the Dunedin Council of Organizations.
Oh, okay. I haven't heard of them.
No, yeah, that's a new one on me.
Its membership is open to businesses, not-for-profits, and individuals in the greater Dunedin area.
Oh, okay.
So it's
What
not
is the name
free.
of that again?
The Dunedin Council of Organizations.
Dunedin Council.
Right, so it's DunedinCouncil.org.
I also emailed the Rotary to try to get some information
Yep.
for Sean and I to join the Rotary, which we're just interested in the service aspect, but I haven't heard back from them yet. And then the Chamber, I was looking at the Chamber too. Do you know if the Chamber is a good networking?
They have monthly events. Of course, they aren't doing them now.
Right.
Oh, they're still doing some of them. They're not doing in person necessarily
Right, yeah,
ones, but
yeah.
I mean, I got one. There's one
Yeah.
tonight, I think.
Right, right, and I mean, they feed you and wine you and
Yeah.
dine you,
Yeah.
and
Which
it's always a
Rotary?
big crowd.
Win in person.
Right. Jeff Gow just said that it's a pretty close knit group, so I wasn't sure if that, if they are welcoming
yeah.
others, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay.
What was that name again, Jeff?
Gow,
Oh,
the
he's
councilman that
The
was on last
councilman?
week.
Jeff Gow.
He's the
is
city
council-
commissioner in
Right.
Dunedin.
Right,
Yep.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
He's trying to get on, but he's having trouble logging in for some reason.
Well, Paul can walk them through that.
Yeah.
Well, but
Remember how you walked us through when we couldn't get on?
Yeah.
so let me send you his.
Send me his contact information.
Yeah.
Danny's on. Danny, anything that we should know about going on in the city or that the city's trying to help out with?
Obviously, the city is trying to help out in a lot of areas.
Right.
Speaking of the DCO, when the COVID's not here, they meet once a month at the golf club.
Oh, okay.
So that's what they do. That little club.
That
And
group.
they've been
Okay.
going for years. So check them out. Other than that, we're just keep working on our projects. Obviously, we're trying to continually find ways to help local businesses.
Yep.
So nothing spectacular out of the ordinary going on. We just keep plodding ahead.
Okay. Well, the chamber has asked us that, they said that normally summertime is kind of, especially around the 4th of July, things kind of slow down. People don't want to do anything or work with any, aren't working on anything other than what they have to and that sort of thing. So I am going to be getting with Pam and we'll set up a date and I'll let everybody know if you guys want to put it out to some of the FBII people, because Jennifer and I have they've been gracious enough to say, just let us know when you guys want to be here to meet with business owners. And that's what we had been doing. So we'll let you know what that next date that we have scheduled, that we're going to be in Dunedin meeting with business owners at in the boardroom where we used to have our face-to-face meetings before all this stuff when we went online. So
Well, I miss the boardroom.
Yeah, same here. I miss the crowds that we were getting there too. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not unique, guys, to just us. As you guys know, this everybody is suffering right now from this COVID. It's setting a lot of things back. So
Right.
I'm sure we're very resilient, and at some point when things get better, and they will,
Yeah.
we will rebound.
And more of this, Danny, that's a good point. Yesterday I actually went with a new client that Jennifer and I got that we're writing a business plan for to go get some funding. It's a gentleman that wants that's kind of streamlined the process for doing food and meals and creating actually a revenue generating model for that stuff for organizations that have kitchens that aren't necessarily using their kitchens properly. And he's been struggling because of the way that they've done it in the past is they've given the food away. People have experienced the food and said, man, I would love to have that. And the cost of the meals are dirt cheap. You know, I mean, they're half of what people are paying for the stuff that's coming through the mail that's getting delivered to them. And so they thought it was, they weren't sure if there was a problem with the way that they were doing it because they were getting, you know, and that sort of thing. And we actually had a sit down with the church yesterday, and in going through that process with the church, they're experiencing the exact same thing. So it's the market. People don't feel comfortable going out, you know. They got into a habit when we were shut down of making their food at home. And, you know, some people want to get out and go out every once in a while or whatever, but they don't necessarily want to pay the extra cost of picking up food because they got plenty of time on their hands when they get home, I think, or whatever. So that's a good example or case study on, you know, if you don't understand your customer well enough, you know, you may think, well, you know, just keep doing what we were doing before. If you don't have those conversations to find out what the customers really want, and can you shift your model in a way to deliver that to them, you know, you may not see what it is that you're thinking, you know, or just because I open the doors up, people aren't just going to come rushing through the doors again. So something you keep in mind, I guess, through all of this.
Yeah, I was at the Bon Appetit restaurant last night, and their outdoor seating was pretty full.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, people do want to go out. You know, I'm not going to say that, but you know, people aren't going out of their way. I think, you know, most of that is going to be I think people that weren't giving good service and that, you know, it was just, well, you know, we'll put up with it. Most people aren't going out of their way at this point. Yeah. It's like, and those are the places that are seeing it now, and they can't understand why. And it was like, well, because you didn't take care of your customers the way that you needed to before. And they're voting now for, you know, they're voting negative. Right. They're voting. They're not coming. That's right. It was a no vote.
You got it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, I would assume at this point that
Jen is calling me. Let me
that
see.
Dr. Johnson is not going to show up.
Who are you looking for, Michael?
Dr. Cynthia Johnson. She had agreed to talk to us about what the county is doing for small businesses.
Oh.
Who is she?
She is, Dr. Cynthia Johnson is the head of the county SBDC. So she's the head of all that stuff. So, good morning, Jeff. Can't hear you, you're on mute. There you go.
Good morning. Sorry guys, I'm being late. I had login problems and there was a tribute to Postman Dave today, so I went and saw
Sure, sure.
a postal worker parade. It was wonderful.
Oh, well, super, super. Well, Dr. Cynthia Johnson, who's head of the SBDC, was supposed to show up at 9:30, but apparently she's not going to show. So that's unfortunate. That's the first time we've had a no-show.
Well, if they passed that stuff last night, you know, she may have a stack on her desk that she's
Yeah.
got to figure out. So
Right. So then
she may
we
not have
will-
wanted to talk about it until she read it.
Right, yeah.
So
Yeah. So then we'll see if I can get her back here next week or week after next.
no, that would be great. Yeah. Or if we find out more, I'll let you know, Michael, for sure.
Yeah.
And we can outline it and you guys can post it on the website for sure.
You're right.
Go from there.
Yeah.
If you want to get somebody from the county, I would suggest you talk to Dave Edgars. He would be on top of it. He's a county commissioner now. He used to be mayor and he still lives in Dunedin and would be on top of a lot of that stuff.
Well, he's somebody that I want to meet
Dave Edgars.
anyway. Right.
ERS, I think.
Right, but his information actually would come from Cynthia.
Right.
Yeah, right, but I do want to meet him, so thanks, John, appreciate that. Yeah, that's
Anybody else got anything?
EGGERS, right?
EGGERS, I believe.
Super. Something that you all should know that Jeff Gall has gotten me involved in, that there's a
Uh-oh.
You
There's a
never know
new-
where this is going to go.
right. There's a new group in town, and Jeff, can you help me with the name that we came up with?
If I
Yesterday.
can, I've got to go back to my email.
Well, yeah, same here, so I'm looking for it now. But it's going to be quite a fascinating group. Its focus will be on racial equity in North County. And it's going to include monthly panels or something like that, talking about very rich topics. And at some point, we will also talk about how the incubator and other organizations can support businesses of people of color, because we need help for sure. So any thoughts, reactions to that?
I think that's wonderful. That is
Yeah.
so great to hear.
Yeah.
It's needed for sure. I mean, I've gone a couple of places with you, Michael, or whatever, and you've always made the comment or whatever. It was like you were the only black man in the room, and it's like,
Amen.
and I don't understand that. It's not like is there like not a black community in Dunedin? I don't know.
Well,
Have a-
that's one thing that we want to research is how many black businesses do we have in North County in the first place?
Right.
I know of a couple, but it's only a couple.
Right.
Yeah. So if any of you all know of black businesses in North County,
There are,
please
you know
let us
who,
know.
you know who I would reach out to, Michael? Jeff, and you may know him too. I would reach out to David Archie here in Tarpon Springs.
Right. Yes.
David was the mayor at one time
Right,
here
yes.
in Tarpon.
Yes.
So, I'm sure, and he was a businessman here in Tarpon Springs as well. So,
Mhm.
he would be plugged in at least in the city here.
Right.
And, if you guys are focused on North County for sure. So,
Right. North County is the focus.
yep.
Hey, Michael.
Yes.
I would suggest, if you really want to know the true statistics on people of color own businesses.
Yep.
The county's statistician is a guy by the name of Ben Friedman, and Ben can tell you anything. And this is what this
Okay.
guy said.
I'm going to write his name down too.
Ben Friedman, absolutely. He works in for economic development for the county.
Danny, can you spell that last name for me?
Friedman, Friedman.
Oh, okay.
Good guy, and
So he works for Cynthia?
he works for Cynthia.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he is. He's a guy that I have reached
Does he
out
work-
to many times for statistics, and he gives them to me every time.
Does he work for Cynthia, or does he work for
He works for Mike
Mydell? I was going to say Mike. Yeah.
He works with Cynthia.
Mike. Yeah, Mike is the director of
Right,
economic
right.
development for the county. So yeah, I know Mike too.
Right, and Cynthia reports to Mike, is that
He
how that
reports
works?
to Mike. That's correct.
Right, and SBDC reports to Cynthia.
No.
No?
Well, I mean, she runs SBDC.
Right, okay, right,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, yeah,
Well then,
Yeah, Kurt,
Yeah.
Kurt Forster
She-
works for Cynthia and
Cynthia,
SBD.
Kurt works for
Right,
Cynthia, right?
yeah. So
They're all
Dana,
down
get
there
your data
together.
straight.
Anyway, Ben Friedman's your guy if you
Yep.
want to know stuff.
Cool, cool. Because that would be good data to know,
Absolutely.
right? Because if we can do something like that here in North County, because there's plenty going on in St. Pete, you know,
Pete, right.
but we're going to get something going here.
And that is North.
I can give you a couple of more suggestions if you've got time.
Sure.
About halfway between Sunset Point Road and say Druid or Drew, there's a church right off of Myrtle. Sean Powers runs that church. It's across the street from where Naughty Nancy's used to be, if you ever remember
Right.
Naughty Nancy's.
Yes, I do.
He's got a church there that is, it's very much integrated, I think.
Right, what's his name, John?
Would be able to give you some suggestions about some black businesses.
Right, what's his name, John?
Sean Powers.
Sean Powers, super.
Yeah,
Mhm.
if you call me after the meeting, 733-3452, I've got him in my phone,
All right. Thank you.
and I know he'd be happy to work with you.
Super. So the name of the group is the North Pinellas Advocates for Racial Equity.
Yes.
We will have a panel discussion on August the 3rd. And that panel discussion will be how to stop walking on eggshells and really start communicating about things racial.
Where will that be?
It'll be online.
Let me give you another suggestion.
Uh-huh.
If you call Peace Memorial Church and ask for Bob Scott, he's the minister. He was very interested in trying to get a group at our church that was specifically trying to work with the Black community.
Right, what's
And
his last
I
name
don't-
again?
Bob
Scott.
Scott.
Scott, that's it.
Their phone number is 727-446-3001.
You're just a fountain of information, John.
Okay.
He's got
Sean
quite a
Powers
Rolodex.
was the other one, yeah.
Yeah, Sean Powers, Powers. God, what is his church? It'll come to me as soon as I hang up.
Of course. That's how it works.
Hey, Renee, you want to get a hold of John's phone, probably. Sounds like he's got a good Rolodex for you.
He does. He's got a great memory too, because he can remember those
Yeah,
numbers.
those people and those numbers, yeah. Yeah.
All right. This is going to be good. So I hope that folks will put that in your calendar, and
Can you share that
Will you
information in
Share
the
it?
chat?
You post it? Yeah, post it.
yes.
Would be. I wasn't sure if I would be able to join or not. So I would love to do that.
Why
Right.
not?
And it's like, plus there's going to be another one on August the 13th. And I'm trying to
Last
get
night, just while you're putting that on, last night there was St. Pete, the greenhouse had their pitch night, and you guys all know Tracy Davis,
David,
right?
yeah.
David, yeah. Tracy David, sorry. She pitched for her business, Oh Yes Shave, or the woman's shave club that she's doing, and she did a fabulous job. She won from a from a viewer standpoint, like who the viewers would like to win, but she didn't win it. There was another guy that won it from the judges, because there was the judges choice, and then there was, which was the ultimate winner that won the $5,000. But then there's also viewers choice. She won the viewers choice, but she didn't win the $5,000. But I gotta say, she really did an excellent job.
Yeah,
So,
she's a good presenter.
very.
Yeah.
So where was that contest and who sponsored that?
The greenhouse down in St. Pete.
St. Pete.
It's
yeah.
online.
Yep, it's called
Okay.
Pitch Night.
Right, yes.
Mm-hmm.
At
Yeah.
some point, I hope we will sponsor a pitch night ourselves. But that'll come. That'll come.
Yep, absolutely. The person that won it last year was a 10-year-old little boy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he created an organization to help with the oceans in Pinellas County. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, there's some amazing kids out there. I participate quite a bit and pretty frequently with Ignite Tampa Bay, and you just about every year they have kids, that are teenagers that come and do presentations, and that was the hardest presentation that I have ever done in my life. It's 5 minutes long, got 20 slides, and the slides automatically advance every 20 seconds. And it's like, holy crap. I mean, I've never practiced a presentation so much in my entire life. It was a good presentation. Actually, I think it's out there. I can go find it on YouTube. I can post it in the thing if anybody wants to see it. But I found out later, the guys that do it on a regular basis said, you don't talk to the slides. The slides are just going in the background. So he said, just use stuff that kind of is familiar with what it is that you're doing, and then you don't have a problem. I'm like, yeah, I wish somebody would have told me that before I tried putting this thing together, because it was a nightmare. It turned out really well. But
My
Yeah,
first thought was,
Oh, go ahead, Paul, sorry.
I was just going to say, Dino, my first thought of that is that every 20 seconds you have a movie going on back there.
pretty much.
Okay. So just
Yep.
let the movie go on and show some other, related story as you give your presentation.
That's exactly what it was, but I hadn't done it before, and I could have easily done it. That was not the problem. I mean, it was just a matter of, like I said, let me see.
I'm sure you did a great job.
Oh no, it was a good. Everybody that's watched it has loved it, but
But we tend to be our own worst critic for sure.
By the
No,
way,
I-
since
I thought it was just hard keeping the slides in sync with what the heck it was you were talking, and you wanted to look over your shoulder, and
Right.
you know, if you stumbled at all or anything else. That was the first time that I've ever had to use. I actually had cards. There was the only way I could stay on script. I mean, it was just.
Yeah.
And on that subject of speaking, since I have to leave early, I'll mention it now. I'll be speaking on the 16th at lunchtime, 12 to 1. So it's a Thursday, if you can make it. Let us talk. Somehow I think there should be an about. Let us talk it. Let me verify that website, .com. Let me verify that.
Yeah. And put it in the chat, please.
Yeah.
And Michael, can you put the Zoom for these dates here? Can you put the Zoom link, not the link, but can you just give me the meeting number and the password?
Right. It might not be known yet,
Oh, okay.
but as soon as we know it, we will publish it for sure.
Perfect. Okay.
Because we just decided to do this yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And there's going to be a panel, and Jeff is going to be a panelist, and I will be a panelist, and there'll be a couple of other folks as well.
And we'll hear about that through the FBI, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I will see to it that happens.
Perfect.
Thank you.
If you need to get into either of the Rotary clubs in Dunedin, I'm a past member of the Breakfast Club and a present member of the Lunch Club. Of course, with the COVID-19, nobody's meeting anywhere, but that's going to be over with within a month, I think, personally. Oh, if I could just get my wife to not worry about me not wearing a mask all the time, I'd be a lot happier. Because I'm really not that concerned. I live on the water, I've got fresh air, and I'm a happy camper.
Yeah, but if you catch it from somebody else, you would be in serious trouble.
John, I guess it becomes a problem when your wife wears the mask to bed, huh?
Yeah.
She didn't want to infect you.
I've got so much fresh air here. I'd be glad to share it with anybody who wants it. Here, let me show you the view.
I've seen his view. His view is amazing.
So
That
you're
is
on,
gorgeous.
so then you're on Edgewater Drive?
I am
Marvelous.
down between Sediva and the motel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Cool. Those are beautiful homes along there.
Mm. Dream homes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, since there was a pause of silence and I've got 6 minutes left.
Yeah.
I have a totally different view on the racism stuff.
Really?
And I think if I had to trace it back, I think it comes from Stephen Colbert, who would often say, I don't see color. One of the things I was taught in real estate school when I got my real estate license, that there is only one color, and that color is green. So I think the solution, and I know what your reaction is going to be already, but the solution to racism is to stop seeing color, to just stop making an issue of it. Treat everyone equal.
Amen.
You want to do something for people who are wanting to start businesses, people who are low income, people who are struggling with finances or whatever, or business in general. They may be Hispanic, they may be black, they might be yellow, they could be green or purple.
I think we ought to start saying everybody is.
Oh, you flaming liberal, you, Paul.
I know, really.
No,
I'm reminded of Star Trek episode.
I agree.
No,
Do you remember the Star Trek episode of racism, where one was, the entire race, the entire planet was half black, half white, right? Down one side
yin
black,
and
one side,
yang.
except
Yin
there was
and yang.
one group who were white on the right-hand side, and then the other group was black on the right-hand side. Okay, and the planet had racism over this.
The only issue that I have with what you're saying is that it is totally idealistic. Does not help us deal with the current situation at all.
Right.
And if I can, I don't think the idea is not to see color.
Right.
No.
I think with the color you get diversity and you get differences, and it's the opportunity and ability to see those differences and accept those differences and learn from them.
Right.
See them as beauty.
Well, what I've always.
But you have to see them to acknowledge them, and if we don't see color, then we don't see the differences.
Right. If you see my color.
Where you put focus,
okay.
Where you put energy and where you put your focus grows. The more energy and focus you put on the problem of racism, the bigger it will grow.
Paul, speaking as a black man, if you don't see my color and understand what that's about, then you will never understand me.
Right.
Besides, it's also so that if you've never been a black man, Paul, you don't know. Just like people like to talk about, I happen to be a person in a wheelchair, and I don't personally view myself as a person in a wheelchair, but there are plenty of people who see me as a person in a wheelchair. Yeah. And so and unless you've been it, it's really kind of hard to have a sense of exactly what happens.
All that is fine. All that's fine and good. I'm just letting you know there is a law of the universe. It's indisputable. You cannot argue it. Where energy goes, or where your focus goes, energy flows.
So,
the more energy you give to something, the bigger it gets, whatever it is.
So we're just talking about trying to flow the energy where we can see differences as a positive rather than a negative.
Negative, right.
All right.
I'll give you an example. One of my favorite television commentators as I was growing up was Charles Krauthammer. I think that's his name. I probably butchered it. But until he passed away, and then they showed how he got around on his wheelchair all the time, I never realized he was in a wheelchair.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure, but part of that was that he hid it. Part of that was that he hid it. Because the same thing happened with FDR, where he made a point of not having people see it. There are some things you can't hide.
Yeah. It's the same thing for.
I have to run.
Right, when a guy says that they are colorblind and gender neutral, as if they don't recognize a woman when they see one. It's like, come on, give me a break,
Right.
All right. If there's nothing else, guys, we can wrap up here. Yeah. And
it's great to see everybody.
Find out what happened to Cynthia and so on.
Yeah.
And we'll let you know when we're coming up next.
Have a good week, everyone.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Stay well.
I'm glad my wife got me out of bed to be here.
Thanks, John. Appreciate you being here. Okay, bye now.